So, what I was finding in graduate school, I was learning lots of theories, you know. If anybody, have you ever seen the diagnostic manual for psychology? They update it every few years and it's huge. And just the fact that every few years they take out things that were previously crucial and they add things that previously didn't matter, it's kind of crazy making. That's how I, you know. And so traditional counseling, you're focusing on signs and symptoms, you're fitting people into a diagnosis. And then once you do that, there are certain theories that are known to work well with anxiety. There are certain theories that work with depression. But really, the truth, and you know, this part I think is a testament to the training I got in graduate school. They also put forth studies for us to review where it actually proved statistically significantly that the common layperson has just as much healing power as trained psychologists and counselors. It was a study. Meaning that if I'm Toby's friend and we sit and talk and Toby kind of lets me know what's going on, I have just as much potential to help her heal and find her solutions as a trained therapist. Now, as a trained therapist, how do you think that made me feel? Not so good. But they presented it to us, and so I, you know, kudos for that. But what I was finding in my work, I have one moment that stands out where I sat across from a middle school girl, and she had disclosed that there was physical abuse, and we had gotten child services involved, and we're at that period of time where things temporarily were worse before they got better. Like, here's the family all in upheaval, CPS involved. So for this child, things were worse, and she was looking at me going, what? Right? And I just felt so hopeless, like I just joined her right in that feeling. And it was right at that point that I just thought, okay, I'm gonna burn out. So I began really just looking for something else. I began trying to see something bigger. And luckily, right at this time, I had one course. I was at San Francisco State, and I had one course with a Dr. Roger Mills, and he's passed away now, but he ended up being my mentor, my good friend. And what he was teaching about was he was teaching family systems too. So what he was supposed to be teaching about, he was very clever, was family systems. So different theories that treat families as a system, okay? But what he did is every theory he introduced, he spoke about resiliency, and he just kind of pointed within that theory what they had right and how they didn't quite go far enough. And he was teaching 3 principles, which I'm going to expose you to in a little bit. But thank goodness for Dr. Mills, because I sat in that class and I just thought, this is it. This is what I've been waiting to hear. And he, you know, he didn't tell people that he was a rocket scientist. He didn't tell people that he was one of the leading resiliency researchers in the nation. He just showed up and laughed and was jolly, and he was sneaky, right? So he really changed my course of action.